9:16. Welcome back to the morning show with Jeff and Will. It's AM 1700 WRCR, Haverstraw, WRCR.com. Joining us now, Tina Traster. She's also, of course, from the Rockland County Business Journal, rcbizjournal.com. Welcome, Tina. How are you?
I am well. How's everybody over there on this glorious morning?
Enjoying life as it's presented to us. Yourself?
I can't complain. Can't complain.
Nice. So what's going on in the Rockland County business world?
Yes, let's have a conversation on a medley of issues. We reported that the Rockland County Legislature has earmarked more than $5 million to purchase open space. These are not the
$5 million?
Yeah.
Okay.
$5 million. This is this always, any open space preservation, I have to say, personally makes me happy. I think open space is extremely important. These are not done deals, I should add. This is just something that the legislature has earmarked. This is a continuation of the county's efforts to preserve open space. There are 4 properties right now that are in their target. 3 are South Mountain Road properties that would provide an access point for South Mountain County Park and the Long Path. And the plan there would be to build 2 trails from the new parking area up to the Long Path. Now, the earmarking of the properties is just the first step in acquiring land, and these deals still have to be negotiated. But the one that I did want to talk about, because we wrote about it, and I think it's particularly important. And this is the acquisition of the old route, what's known as the old Route 304 property, also known as the Pugh Farm. And this would protect and preserve a still standing and in wonderful condition 1750s farmhouse and barn, and would restore more than 10 acres for agricultural use. We wrote about this back in January, this past January, and in the story that we wrote, we kind of told the backstory of the owner who grew up in this on this farm, and how this was amazingly, it is still a largely agrarian swath of land, there are people in the farming community and the preservation community that are definitely pulling for this. Do you know the property that I'm referring to?
I don't. Where is this again?
It's called Old Route 304.
Okay. I think keep going. I think I know what you're talking about. There was once like a deli or something on that property.
I don't know about that. I think it's I don't know about a deli. It's a large piece of land, and it's been targeted.
Like how far down from Main? Do you know offhand how far down from Main Street it is?
Let me see. Let me try.
Because I think I know the general area where you're talking about, but if I'm not mistaken, there was once either a deli or a gas station or something on a fairly large square of property. I don't know how much more property behind it went.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Okay.
You've been around here a long time. So, we certainly know that farmland has absolutely disappeared in the county. There's very little of it left. It's such a valuable asset. I think the deal with this piece of land is that the owners the backstory was that the owners had put the property up for sale, I think for about $3 million or so. Oh wait, I got it. It's located east of Zucor Road and close to the Jacob Blauvelt house. So it's east of Zucor Road on something called Old Route 304.
Right, east of Zucor Road, okay.
Yeah, and it's close to the Jacob Blauvelt house, which of course is the home of Rockland County Historical Society. It's as I said, it's an 18th century historic house there, and what else? The property sits in Clarkstown's R60, with R160, which is the conservation zone, which limits a buyer's ability to develop or subdivide the property, thankfully. So back in 2023, the family put the house, as I said, for $3 million, not because they wanted to, but because it was part of a legal settlement with a family feud. And although it was listed, as we said in this previous story, the owner was hoping that the county would purchase and preserve it, and that it would continue to be in use for farming. So that's my favorite. I really do hope that piece of property, and particularly the house, is so beautiful. It's like a sandstone house. It's got a white picket fence. It's really a treasure. And I for one just hope all the deals go through. This lease would add 40 acres in total to the purchase since last year, which includes 132 acres known as the Eagle Valley Assemblage, and that was which the county was in the process of purchasing from the Open Space Institute. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll see if the community, if the county goes forward and sees these purchases through. Hopefully they will. Speaking of land, in a different universe, the developers who bought Minnescongo Golf Course in Pomona a few years ago, as you know, had a grand plan to be Ramapo's first PUD, Plan Unit Development, which is basically a zoning overlay that Ramapo had made available to developers of very large lots in order to spur development and increase housing supply, which of course is needed. Their plan was big, 637 housing units with commercial and retail on-site over 137 acres. So working with the town of Ramapo, they went through the environmental review, traffic, seeker, planning, zoning, all that stuff, and the project got its approvals earlier this year and was good to go. But neighbors, people adjacent to the property, and a lawyer who frequently sues Ramapo and its land use boards filed a lawsuit challenging whether or not the town took a, quote, hard look, end quote, that towns have to take under SEQR, which is the State Environmental Quality Review Act, before they approve a project. And the neighbors cite a number of procedural defects, including notice provisions, but the heart of their argument is that the project, a project this size, warranted more intensive review with the participation of the public and not just town experts and developers experts. And this is interesting because I think that thinking should apply to any large project, whether it's housing, warehousing, anything that's really going to impact the environment. I agree here that it cannot just be green lighted and sent down the conveyor belt without a hard look at the impact that ripples beyond the borders of a particular property. The neighbors accused the town of intentionally hiding the details. I don't know really if that's true. That'll have to be for the courts to sort out. In the past, this attorney representing the neighbors has been successful in derailing or delaying projects. So I would say, again, this is something that we will watch and see how the legal wrangling goes. This project known as Miller's Pond, though, is a big deal for Ramapo because in this case, speaking of open space, this project did take pains to preserve wetlands, wetland buffers, and open space. And a cemetery on the property was also to be protected, and the proposal also called for walking paths and parks that are part of the old golf course. So, whether or not the court sides with the neighbors or whether there's more review that takes place, the land will at some point likely be developed. It's just not clear how or when. It is not likely to turn into a park or go back to a golf course. And as you know, golf courses are also kind of under threat in the county, and or as we know, require adjacent building in order to keep them afloat. Were you going to say something?
No, go keep going.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like I was going to just finish to say that the people in the Paramount, are trying to build a large housing project, but in that case, the golf course would be preserved. So that's pending in the town of Clarkstown, and so overall, kind of watching what's going on with golf courses and development and the environment. All these things, have a relationship to one another, and I think, one thing that's always relevant is public participation. I do think that, for example, just to go back to the piece of land that we were talking about a minute ago for open space, I think that it helps that farming advocates have stepped forward to try to preserve that land, and we wrote a colorful piece about it in January, and so it rose to the level of discussion, and I think that just always, as I always say, no matter what I'm talking about, participation in the process. We have some control and we have a responsibility to figure out, where our county goes from here. And then, unless you had a comment, I was going to just...
No, and unfortunately, we are out of time. I hate to cut you off short, but we do have to go. We have another show coming up next. Thank you, Tina Traster, so much for joining us as always. Visit her website, rcbizjournal.com, for email newsletters and all the latest news from around the business world and some other stuff around the county as well. Thank you, Tina, as always. We'll talk to you again next... No, we're not on the air next Monday because it is Labor Day. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
All right. Have a great holiday weekend.
Thank you.